And hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of the GrowCast Show. And I have with me today Muraledharan Naidu, and he is the founder of Big Money Trading Academy. Murli, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good, Vicky. Thanks so much for having me here.
Very nice. And Murli, I always like to start by asking my guest this question. What does being better than normal mean to you?
To me, better than normal means to live a purposeful life, to ensure that we are clear of the passions that we have in our life, to be sure about what we are good at, and to combine the passions and expertise and serve the world. That's what being better than normal is to me.
I like that. I like the serving the world part, because even with Better Than Normal, we are on a big mission to inspire 50 million people by 2050 to become better than normal. And maybe if I can ask you for yourself, Murli, what makes you better than normal?
So I have a passion for trading. I've been a trader for 13 years. I've also been an educator for 10 years. So what I've did is to marry these two passions together to become a trading coach. And what I'm doing now is to create this coaching business to coach others to be better than normal, in your words. Yeah.
Murli, I know you've got an interesting journey, but how did you get started in day trading?
So 13 years ago, unfortunately, I lost my mother to pancreatic cancer. So that I was like 21 years old. So I was still young, trying to find answers to my life. And usually what happens is we know that mothers have the answers to most of the things that we want in our lives, right? So after she passed away, one of my coping strategies was to look into like personal development books. I just got myself lost in personal development books. Every single day, I was like reading personal development books, finance books, attending a lot of courses, And part of that journey, part of the personal growth journey, there's that aspect of financial growth. So that was how I chose day trading as a vehicle for myself to get towards financial freedom.
What is your favorite personal development book?
So, of course, I think many of us have read this book. It's Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. And I think one of the things that I learned from there was to really start with the thoughts first. It was part of the whole manifesting journey, auto-suggestion, really telling yourself, visualizing your goals and telling yourself every single day, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I've already achieved. Visualizing that, and eventually at some point, your subconscious is going to work towards that success, and you do what you need to do to get to where you want to get to. Yeah.
Amazing book. The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. Also another crazy, thick book, but very good book as well. And what were your biggest challenges for you when you were a beginner, right? What were the biggest challenges you faced when starting your day trading journey?
So initially, I had zero knowledge on trading and investing. So this was 13 years ago. I was just starting to be a teacher and all that. So my mom was also a teacher, actually. So very passionate, and she spent so many years in the teaching industry. But unfortunately, she didn't really take care of herself, and of course, it led to like cancer, and she passed on and stuff like that. So I was actually in that same journey. I also became a teacher and stuff like that. So because I wanted financial freedom like so much, I started. I didn't know where to look. So I had colleagues at that point of time. They were better than me as an investors. So they were trying to teach me on how to invest. None of them were traders, so to speak. Like none of them like did day trading. They didn't like enter and exit the trade within the day itself. They were more of like swing traders or long-term investors. Like they held the money for one whole year and then checked it at the end of the year. So that was my start in this whole investing journey. But as you know, many of my colleagues at that time, they didn't really learn from the right sources. So it was all about hearsay and stuff like that. So I quickly hit many walls. So I needed someone to teach me like properly how to trade and all that. So what I did was to attend courses. Okay, I've had good teachers before this. I've spent a lot of money on some of these trading courses specifically. But what I realized, as a beginner at that time, was there were many gaps in some of these courses. These were successful traders. You have to give it to them. They were very successful traders, but they were not the best educators. There's a whole difference. Like you may be successful in what you do, but teaching what you do is a totally different ball game altogether. So I did attend all these courses, but the gaps were that they didn't teach so well. So I realized that as much as I've spent so much money, I didn't learn properly, right? So there was that gap. And once I found out that there was a gap between being a good trader and a good educator, I had to find some way to kind of cover this gap. Because like I said, most of these great traders weren't the greatest educators. So what I did, I had to take matters into my own hands. And I started reading as many trading books as I can, because now we have structure. When you go to the best publishers out there and find all the trading books that have been written by the greatest traders out there, you know that the book requires a structure. So when I started consuming these books, I realized that, hey, now it's starting to make sense. Now I know that these strategies that were introduced to me by the traders in the courses, right? Now I know exactly how it's supposed to be, how it's going to lead me towards success, and now there's a system. So what I did as a beginner was I realized that it is the books that eventually gave me all the knowledge that allowed me to move forward as a trader. Yeah.
Murali, maybe I know you talked about the mentors that you have, right?
Yep.
Can you share a bit more? How much have you spent on courses and books specifically with regards to your trading journey?
Wow, it's at least, I don't know, $20,000, $25,000. Yeah, like everything all in for the past 13 years. Definitely was that much. And the best part is the courses were like exorbitant rates. Like the books were the cheapest, yet the books gave me the most knowledge. So it was important for me to give back in the fastest way, easiest way, and cheapest way. Yeah.
And you also mentioned that, there's a difference between trading and educating on trading, right? What makes you a better, which one do you think is more important, being an educator on trading or actually trading? Or maybe if I could rephrase the question, right? We know there's a difference between day trading and teaching day trading.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer?
So, like I said, it has to start off with your passion in both, actually. So it started off, obviously I started off as a trader myself. So, right. So because I'm passionate about trading, eventually you need to get good at trading. Right? Once you're good at trading, of course, there were other skill sets because I'm a trained educator. So because I'm a trained educator, I know how to teach pretty much anything that I'm good at. So once I became good as a trader, now it was easy for me to just marry both passions. Right? So to answer your question, yes, it's important to be a good trader. That's number one. And I think it's even more important to be a good trading educator or a good trading coach, because ultimately this is the vehicle that we use to transfer these skill sets to other people who also want to gain from trading.
And I mean, that's great. I mean, I can tell you really invested lots of money, but maybe you can share with us, Murali, how did you develop your own unique trading strategy?
Okay. So basically what happened was, so initially, I mean, I have to be thankful to my trading coaches from the past, right? Because what they helped me with was to have a strong foundation. Fundamentals. Of course, those fundamentals were not enough for me to start making money from the markets itself. But more importantly, now understanding the fundamentals, now I'm able to read trading books out there, or countless trading books out there. And what I did was to start using trial and error, right? So I started reading one book, and maybe there's a strategy that I can stack based on what the existing strategy that I'm using right now. So eventually over the years, it was just a stacking, it was a synthesis of various strategies that eventually got to the results that I wanted to get. Yeah.
What was your most significant trading lesson?
Okay, so one thing that I realized, so most trading books out there, right? Most trading books out there, most trading courses out there do not focus on day trading. It's more of like medium term to long term investing. Okay, so what I realized was part of the experimental process was to use these so-called long-term trading strategies and apply it to the short-term, right? So we have different time frames that you can trade with. You got the day chart, you got the month chart, week chart. So what I did was to take the same strategies from the books that I've read and started applying it to really short-term movements, like 3-minute charts, where the whole trend can last between minutes to hours. And then I realized, hey, it still works, And usually, the saying that I always have is, you make more money within a shorter period of time. Now, what that means is that, so let's say you have a market that you're trading, you're entering it in January, and you're exiting the trend in December. And let's say for a $10,000 account, you made a 10% gain, right? So at the end of the year, you made $1,000, right? Now that $1,000 initially when I was investing, right, it was good returns. I mean, a 10% return for a long-term investment, a 10% is pretty good, and it was consistent at that time. But it didn't change my life because that $1,000 kind of paid for a ticket for a holiday, So what I needed was something that I can use where my capital is still small because I'm still saving up money, right, to make my capital, to grow my capital. So what happened was I applied these strategies to the short term, and I realized that, hey, there are also trends, that there are smaller trends that happen in minutes. There are smaller trends that happen within hours or even seconds. Now, seconds is a bit too fast. But if I can catch the trends and exit the trends within hours or even minutes, what I realized was I was making that same kind of gains within that shorter period of time. So I started seeing myself making like 10% returns over hours instead of that 1 year. So that is how I realized that, hey, day trading is now a possibility. And then, of course, there are so many other aspects in day trading, which creates a whole system that eventually allows you to be consistently profitable. And that can become a system that, everyone else can use to become profitable and eventually leads towards financial freedom. Yeah.
Tell us about your 100% ROI in 30-day strategy.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we have to break it down. Okay. So usually, like I just mentioned, right? So day trading, you can enter and exit the trend within the day. Now, you can possibly get about 10%. But let's be a bit conservative here. So let's say if you can get a 5% to 10% ROI in 1 day. Now, let's be very honest, it's not going to happen every day, right? So there are going to be losses, there are going to be wins, but the strategy allows you to have more wins, lesser losses. Your wins are bigger than your losses. And what happens over time is, let's say you make 10% a day, and in a week, you can have maybe a 20% profit, 30% profit, return on investment, right? Now, if you compound that over 4 weeks, let's say you make roughly about 20 to 30% a week, then when you compound that over 4 weeks, you actually get to 100% ROI in 1 month, which is 30 days, which is more or less doubling your money over 1 month. Yeah, that's how it works.
I know also you have a guarantee for your 100% in 30 days ROI, right? Tell us about your guarantee that you give your students that you will help them to make 100% ROI within a 30 days time period over 1 year.
Yeah, correct. So basically, of course, we also have to understand that if you master the strategy, okay, there are 2 aspects to it. Number 1 is mastering the strategy. Now, and the second thing is about market conditions. So what I tell my students, hey, it's possible to double your money in 30 days. It's true. There are many students who do that repeatedly even. So some students, depending on the market condition, like for me, my best result was getting 100% ROI in 6 days. And I also tell my students, if anyone promises you that you can double your money in 1 day, please run the opposite direction because you're gambling already, right? So you can make that kind of money in 1 week. You can make that kind of money in two weeks, and 1 month is usually on the average, okay? But depending on the student's ability. Now, day trading, yes, you can make money in a shorter period of time, but there's always a trade-off. The trade-off is you need more skill, right? You need to make quicker decisions. You need better emotional management. Because usually for long-term investors, you are entering and exiting the trade in like, maybe you're putting up a trade in like once per year, right? So you have all the time in the world to study the charts, go and read the news, go and study the fundamentals of the market and blah, 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 blah. And you just have to click submit once, right? And see how you're doing after 1 year. Now, day trading requires you to study the charts and make sure that you are entering a proper market setup within minutes, right? So that requires a lot more skill, a lot more familiarity with the market conditions, definitely emotional management, because one of the things that I've learned throughout these years is you cannot be fearful, you cannot be greedy, and nothing in between also, because the best way the best state to be when you're trading is to be in that so-called Zen state, right? No thoughts, no fear, no greed, just mechanically doing what you're supposed to do to extract cash from the market.
So Murali, I mean, day trading, you need to be updated about many things, right? So for yourself, how do you stay updated with market trends in day trading?
Okay, so personally, I am a technical trader. I'm not a fundamental trader. So I do not look at news. I do not look at how well a company has performed. So all the information that I need to make money, all I need to do is just study the charts, apply a strategy, and then I'm making money from the trade itself. So in terms of staying updated with market trends, now there's no necessity, because I'm not a fundamental trader. Now all I need to do is actually stay updated with current means of trading, current strategy. So what I'm doing is, instead of staying updated with the trends, I'm looking at books. What are the latest books written by the traders of the present time, right? So I'm going to go to Amazon, I'm going to buy these books, and I'm going to read what they have. I'm going to read these strategies. I'm going to learn from other traders and see, can I incorporate some of these strategies into my own existing system? Because there's always new things to learn, right? So that way, I'm always updating my system, and it's going to stay profitable as long as possible. Yeah.
Murali, there's so many coaches that are teaching trading, right? Even in Singapore. So for yourself, what makes your day trading coaching unique from other people?
So like I said, it was one of the gaps that I found initially. So there are a lot of successful traders out there. I have a lot of respect for them, right? But not all of them are successful educators, right? So they tend to see a lot of success in their trading strategies, and then once they see success, then they kind of branch out into like teaching trading. So for me, because I am an educator, I realized that the teaching method is equally or even more important than the content or the strategy itself. So what I do is I employ pedagogies. Pedagogies, we're talking about teaching systems, right? Teaching methods. So I'm trained in that. So I employ what we call one of the latest pedagogies is what we call e-pedagogy, right? Because now a lot of the learning is online. So for me, my workshops are online also. So because I am teaching online, my teaching system has to suit that online environment, and that's what we call e-pedagogies. So at the same time, one of the best ways we learn is through playing, right? So there's this concept which we call gamification, right? So we use game principles in our learning, so the learning becomes more fun, right? So this is beyond just the lecture, the teacher-centered system of lecturing, PowerPoint slides, and so it is important to really ensure that the students are active at all times, right? So students need to be active. Student needs to need to not just passively learn, but actively learn. So my workshops go in such a way where of course I make it fun. That's one. But at the same time, when I teach something, I apply it immediately. And as I apply it, because it's through Zoom, right? So my workshops are all through Zoom. As I apply it, students are watching me do it, and they are also doing it at the same time. Yeah. So while they do it, what happens is now you have questions. When there are questions, then I answer it immediately. So it's not like I'm just, regurgitating content and they're just passively trying to absorb this as we go. So these are some of the major differences that happen. Of course, these were gaps that I have seen myself, and therefore I came into this industry as a trading coach to bridge the gap. Yeah.
So Murali, is your day trading coaching suitable for those with zero knowledge?
Yeah, so definitely it's suitable for those with zero knowledge, because ultimately what I do is to start off my coaching sessions with an explanation of how the markets work. Explanation of the bar chart, the candles, explanations of different types of markets, forex, crypto, indices, commodities, and stuff like that. Because it's technical analysis, students have the ability to take my strategy and apply it across all markets. So most of my students are actually beginners, right? And I tend to, within my workshop itself and over time, make this beginner who knows nothing about trading or investment whatsoever, and bring them to this point A to Z, Z being a successful trader, where they are able to double their ROI, double their money over 30 days.
What do you wish you knew when you started day trading?
Okay, so one of the things that, I've gone through many strategies. I've also, tried to learn from YouTube and all these available free strategies available out there. I've paid thousands of dollars for courses and stuff like that. So one of the things that is a common statement is you need to buy low and sell high. Now, Of course, it is true, you buy low, you sell high, but then we need to know where the low is going to be. We need to know where the high is going to be. So one of the strategies that I come across, which has been very successful, is called momentum reversal trading. To understand when the market is going to reverse or when the market is potentially going to reverse, and you catch the trade at the reversal points. Of course, it's easier said than done, right? Because you need a whole system to actually, execute this system, execute the trade. But I went through so many other strategies which were not momentum reversal strategies. So that's one of the things that I wish that I knew when I was trading initially. And another thing is to have a system. So most traders out there who teach or who try to share knowledge, they just share a strategy. But there's so much more to trading. You need a whole system you need to know how to enter the trade. You need to know how to manage the trade. You need to know how to exit the trade in order to be profitable, right? So most of the strategies out there, they just tell you, or they just give you a setup. They just show you how to identify a possible trade, but they don't teach you how to enter. They don't teach you what to do after you enter. So what if everything looks green? So what if you have $1,000 in profit during the trade? It is when you exit that trade, that's when it's banked into your capital. Yeah. So these were things that were missing along my journey, which most people didn't teach me until I started finding out through the books written by these great traders. Yeah.
So, Murali, I mean, everybody knows mentors are important in trading, right? But for you, how has day trading changed your life?
Okay, so one of the things that has happened for me is day trading has allowed me to have a second income. It has allowed me to get financial freedom for myself, for my wife, for my kids, because now my wife is not working anymore, because we have enough money to settle all the expenses for the family. So that's financial freedom, by the way, because you don't have to be rich. You just have to ensure that your money system or your trading vehicle or investment or whatever that you do to make money, it has to cover your expenses and you're financially free. So when you are financially free, you have the time freedom to do the things that actually matter to you. So in terms of the numbers, I have lost a lot of money experimenting with trading, frankly speaking. So over the past 13 years, I've busted accounts. I've lost $10,000, $20,000, different accounts, by the way. And eventually, when my system became successful, I managed to bring $1,000 to $25,000, $30,000. And once I realized that now day trading, I can make a lot of money within a short period of time, I didn't want to grow my account too big, right? So on average, with the $25,000 account, you're able to make 1K a day on average. You can make between $500 to $1,000. And eventually in a week, it's possible to make $2,000, $3,000. And what you can do after that is you take out 50% of your profits. So for example, if you made $3,000 in the week, right? Profits in the week with a $25,000 account, let's say. Now, all you have to do is you take half of the profits, 50% of the profits of 3,000 will be 1,500. Now, that 1,500 is going to pay a lot of bills. That 1,500 you can go out with your kids over the weekend and not worry, right? And then you have the $1,500 left that you throw back into your account and continue growing from there. Yeah, so that's one of the big achievements that I've had as a trader.
I mean, we all know that there are so many elements to wealth, right? So how does day trading help somebody to grow their wealth?
Okay, firstly, there is that necessity to reframe what wealth is. Okay, so a lot of people think wealth is just money, but actually money is just a means to an end. Money is just a resource, right? It's very important. We have to respect it. But ultimately what money is, it is a resource, right? So there are 3 F's to wealth. What wealth is, number 1 is family. Wealth is family. You need to have people that love you around you. You need to have people that you love, or family, whoever you consider family. It can be friends, right? So family is wealth. Number 2 is fitness, right? The health aspect is very important, and we can spend a lot of times. We spend a lot of time trying to chase money. Okay, frankly, I'm one of them. Yeah, but unfortunately, if your body stops listening to you and the health aspect suffers, then all the money that you make kind of goes into your health bills. So that's something. Health is wealth, right? So we have family, we have fitness, right? And the third one is actually freedom, right? And you realize that money is none of these three. But money is a means to that freedom. So when we talk about freedom or total freedom, we talk about financial freedom. I already explained financial freedom, which means that your investments or your trading income covers your expenses. You don't need to be rich, right? But you want your investments to cover your expenses, your monthly expenses. And now what happens is, with that kind of financial freedom, you have the time freedom to actually use that time to do the things that you really want to do with your lives. Yeah. So freedom over luxury for me. Yeah. So one of the things that people can do to meet these financial goals is to use day trading. I call it the day trading business, because a lot of people say, hey, do you play market or not? Do you play stocks? It is not a play thing. For most people, it may be a play thing, and probably because it's a play thing, you don't see success. But you need to see it as a business. It's a legitimate business, day trading business. And what you do is to start focusing on daily profits, right? You need to manage your risk well, right? You need to ensure that you are mechanically executing the system. And what you'll start seeing is daily profits. There will be losses, like I mentioned earlier. But when you start seeing 5 to 10% every day, then what you'll start seeing is weekly profits. When you start seeing weekly profits, you're going to start seeing monthly profits. And then over time, your account size is going to grow. So usually what I do is I tell students, okay, there are 3 different levels, right? Level 1 is no matter how much you start with. So this also means a lot of students ask me, do I need to put in a lot of money? No, you don't, right? I started with $1,000 account, right? So you can start with $500. Some students start with $50, right? Up to you, no problem. So you use the strategy to double your money, right? And then eventually at some point, you want to bring it to that $25,000 mark. So that is checkpoint number 1. With $25,000, trying to extract $1,000 per day is easy, right? From $25,000, maybe you want to build your account to $50,000, and then from $50,000 to $100,000. But beyond that, most people won't have the heart, to really manage the kind of money. Then you can start diversifying into long-term investments. You can start diversifying into property, maybe start your own business and stuff like that. So that is the process in order to get to what we call financial freedom for an average Singaporean.
So Murali, I know people have this misconception that day trading is very expensive or requires lots of money. But I would like to ask you, can someone start day trading with just $100?
For sure. So you can even start with $50 if you want. So like I said, the whole idea is to start where you're comfortable, right? Start where you're willing to lose that money. If $100 is your so-called tuition fees to learn how to trade, yeah, why not? You don't have to put in $10,000, $20,000 at the start, because when you are learning, you are definitely going to make mistakes, right? So you start off with $100. And by the way, when I teach my students, it is very important to demo trade first. It's very important to paper trade first so that you master the strategy. You use the time to master the strategy. You use the time to master your emotions before you're ready to move on to a live trading account. So you start off with $100 in the demo trade. Okay, make that $100, $200 before you even start live trading with $100. Yeah. So yes, you can start with $100 simply because at all times, regardless of how much money you're starting with, you need to ensure that you only risk 2% of your account per trade. So that's, if it's $100 capital that you have, then for each trade, maximum you'll lose is $2. You're protecting 98% of your account at all times. And that is very important risk management. You'll also learn how to use stop losses to ensure that you're only risking a maximum of 2%. So when that 2% compounds over the day, that's when you start seeing 5% gain, 10% gain. And over the week, that's when you start seeing 20% gain. And over the month, 100% gain. Yeah.
Murali, how much time is required on a daily basis to do day trading?
Okay, so usually what happens is when you first start trading, you want to have a dedicated time to really practice this. So you want a quiet environment. Most busy adults, busy professionals that I teach, that's the people that I usually teach. So they are busy people, right? So they have work to do, they have a day job, they have a family to go back to. So they will spend usually the night time when everybody's asleep, that last 2 hours before they fall asleep, that is the time that they use to run the trades. So you can spend any kind of time, anytime you're willing to give. towards trading on a daily basis. Most of the markets, they only open during weekdays. So you can incorporate it. You can actually stack it onto your existing routines, right? So if you can set aside 2 hours, fine. Whatever, let's say if you're going to trade Forex, the Forex market is 24 hours, commodities markets, they're 24 hours. So you set aside that 2 hours. So let's say maybe at 9 p.m., all your kids are asleep. From 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., you do the trade. Whatever opportunities the Forex market gives you at that point, take those trades. Eventually, what's going to happen is you are going to master the strategy. When you master the strategy, you need to look at the charts a lot lesser. So what I teach my students to do, please don't stare at the chart for 2 hours. If you're willing to trade for 2 hours or if you're willing to trade for 5 hours, you're not going to be staring at the charts for 5 hours. What I teach them to do is to set alerts, whereby based on if there's going to be an opportunity to trade, then the alert is going to sound. And that is the only time where you're going to look at the chart and see, is this my chance to enter the trade? Is this my chance to manage the trade in a certain way? Or is this my opportunity to exit? Yeah. So it's going to be opportunities where you still have time to do all these other important things. So trading is a means to an end. Trading is not life, right? So what life is, like I said, is family, it's fitness, it's freedom, right? So we want to spend time with our family, right? We want to have that free time with our family. So one of the things that you can do is to stack this trading activity onto other existing routines. So yes, if you are a busy adult, if you are a busy professional, all you have to do is once you master trading, then you just let it run while you are even reading a book, while you're even watching TV, or when you're even doing your work. All you have to do is just run the charts on another tab and you can start trading already.
So Murali, what are the key steps to becoming a successful day trader?
Okay, so I have this framework. It's called the TRADE framework, TRADE. So this is of course based on my experience over the past 13 years. Stuff that I didn't have. Okay, so the T is actually training and education. So anyone who wants to start trading, anyone who wants to start investing, or anyone who wants to start any new means of making money, whether it's property, right, whether they want to start a business, you need to know how to do it. I mean, yes, you can try, but if you can find the right person to guide you, then the training and education is going to be necessary for you to actually become successful. So we need to start off with the training and education. You need to have knowledge of all the different markets. You need to have knowledge of how to actually read a chart. Once you get the T right, okay, then we come to the R. The R is actually risk management. You need to be able to manage your risk well, because like I said, day trading requires you to enter the trade and exit the trade within the day. Now, things are going to move fast, but trust me, it's not as fast as you think it is. It's manageable, right? But it's still faster than, long-term investors, right? So when things move fast, you need to manage your emotions well. When things move fast, you need to ensure that you have gotten your steps and your risk management right. So if you are fearful, if you are greedy, most people are actually fearful, then what happens is the risk management falls apart. They're going to be like, you know what, never mind. I think I got this right. I think the trade is going to go in my direction. I'm just going to throw in as much money as possible into this trade. And for some reason, the market punishes this kind of behavior, right? So we need to manage our risk well. Remember the golden rule, only 2% per trade. Okay. In my courses, I also teach a maximum of 3%, because when you're entering and exiting a trade and in this kind of fast moving markets, you need that buffer. Okay. So sometimes I'll tell them, okay, let it be 3%, is perfectly fine. But it's only a maximum of 3%. Always protect the majority of your capital. So that's the risk management part. So the A is to analyze the market. You need to know how to read the charts. You need to know when someone sees the graph going up, yes, they know market is going up. When the graph goes down, yes, the market is going down. But there's so much more to market analysis. There's so much more to technical analysis, right? So of course, the training and education will help you understand how to analyze the markets better. But just because you can read a chart, so that's the A, right? Analyzing markets. Just because you can read a chart doesn't mean that you have a strategy. So that brings me to the D, which is to devise a strategy. You need to know what is a good strategy? What are some better strategies in terms of other strategies? I'm not saying my strategy is the best, but my strategy has been profitable for me over the past 13 years, right? But there are going to be other strategies also. But the trick here is to devise a strategy and keep improving the strategy. That's number one. And the second thing that most traders don't do, unfortunately, is they don't stick to the strategy. Once you know that there is a profitable strategy, just because it doesn't work for you maybe for this week, or maybe even for the whole month, maybe you have a losing month, doesn't mean that the strategy doesn't work. There are many factors in these moving markets, right? So maybe your emotions were not in the right place. Maybe the market movement, your strategy just doesn't align with the market movement just for that month. But in the next 2 to 3 months, if you had given it the chance, then you're going to cover your losses eventually, right? So these are some of the things that you need. So devising the strategies is one of it, right? So that's a D. And lastly, the E is actually execution and evaluation. You can analyze the market very well. You may have the best strategy, but unfortunately, if you don't execute the trade, then you're not going to make money, right? So execution, there are 3 parts to it. First is to enter the trade. You need to press the submit button to enter the trade. Then you need to manage the trade. Once you enter the trade, maybe you're profitable, maybe you're losing, whatever it is, every single aspect of the trade needs to be managed. So once you manage the trade, you also need to know how to exit the trade. And that completes the whole execution process, right? But we don't just stop there, because ultimately, when you enter, manage, and exit the trade, what happens is you are going through this process based on your current mindset, based on your current emotion, based on the current process that you know. So there's also the next step, which a lot of traders don't do, frankly. Even my students, many of them don't do it, is to evaluate how well you have performed. Did you go through the steps properly? Did you execute, manage, and exit properly? Or was there some guessing game that was going on? Did you manage your risk properly? Did you analyze the market properly, or did you just tried it by luck, right? So this is part of the process. But more importantly, the evaluation part is when you start asking yourself, what was my emotions like? Was I fearful? Was I greedy? Did I have this funny feeling in my stomach when I pressed the submit button? Now these are important because we want to trade in a way where there's no fear, there's no greed, our mind is empty, completely focused, we're in that state of flow, right? When we are trading. For that to happen, it doesn't happen immediately. There's a need for you to actually journal your trades. When you journal your trades, your next trade is going to be better. The way you approach your next trade, whether emotionally, psychologically, or even physically trading, is going to be better because you are accountable to yourself through the journaling process. So that brings you from the T to the R to the A to the D to the E.
So Murali, I know you've got many different strategies, especially when it comes to stop loss. Tell us about your 2% stop loss strategy.
Okay, so the 2% stop loss strategy ensures that you only lose 2% per trade. So let's say you start with $100. If you're right, yes, your 2% can grow to 5%, can even possibly grow to 10%. But if you lose in that trade, you want to lose only 2%. And to lose only 2%, we need to set a certain price where you tell the market, if it goes to that price, I'm out of the trade with only a 2% loss. Now, what this allows you to do is to live to trade another day, right? So if you lose $100, you have a $100 account, you lose 2%, you have $98 left. So your next trade is going to be 2% off 98. So now what this gives you is the opportunity to do multiple trades. You have 50 other trades or even more than that to actually keep trading until you master the system. And eventually what you'll see is this $100 grow to $200, $200 going to $400, and then $400 to $800, and so on. Yeah.
Very nice. And thank you, Murali, for being here. And that was with me, Muraledharan, the founder of Big Money Trading Academy. And thank you for being here. That was episode 15 of the GrowCast Show. And I will see you really, really soon.
Thank you so much, Vicky.